head into March, it will be a month of God's blessing. But we want to thank you so much for choosing Church of Uganda at this particular time. Family Hour is on from Monday to Friday with our segmented series and editions of our programs. And today we are talking about education and career. We all know that recently the Ministry of Education and Sports Minister, together with Uganda National Examination Board, released the UCE results of 2023, and today the placement exercise commenced in Lugogo. But according to Dr. Egao, she says that you will recall that the Ministry of Education and Sports released the Senior 4 examination results on the 15th of this month. And this exercise is, the placement exercise is meant to ensure placement of 329,939 students that successfully crossed to the O-level line and are ready to join A-level and TVET institutions. Here, we are only placing learners to Senior 5, and we expect to place 236,280 students into secondary schools, both public and private. The remaining 93,659 students will be absorbed in the 87 government TVET institutions that admit O-level leavers and to over 700 private TVET institutions across the country. Now, today we are looking at the A-level choices, but also we look at moving forward, especially for those who the ministry is sending to the TVET institutions, because of course even as we speak there are a lot of challenges for this particular year. Days back, a parent would advise their child to redo Senior 4. Of course there is a provision according to UNEB, but then it might not be so favorable for the learners, because you realize that especially when it comes to studying might be a little hard. However, we are going to look into the details of this. Today we have a team of administrators, and we believe that we are going to be talking to the right people. One, to help our children. Of course, we know excitement comes in when you pass exams, but now choosing a right combination for your A-level is another thing. But also, what next? How can these others that cannot be absorbed, according to Dr. Egao, how can they be advised? What hope do we have for the parents? Edwin Osen Mukalazi is my name, and just remind you, you can send in your comment, or you can be part of the live conversation on our YouTube, that is COU Family TV. We are streaming live, but also you can be part of this conversation on our social media platforms, that is Facebook and X, COU Family TV. If it's a question, it will be responded to before we end this show. With us is Mr. Kulumba Lawrence. Mr. Kulumba Lawrence is a deputy head teacher of Boston High School. It's a pleasure having you, sir, this evening.
Thank you.
And a very good evening.
Good evening too.
Yes. And then we also have Andrew Jayune from Trust High School, Kabubu, who is also an administrator. It's a pleasure having you again.
Yes, thank you so much. Good evening to all the listeners, our viewers. We always thank you for sparing this hour as we share educational matters. Oh, yes.
Just to start from, last week we were here and we were looking at probably some of the reasons that could be that could have contributed to the performance we see, but then we shall not weep forever. We have to move on, and moving on is either going for A-level or going for vocational under TVET. But maybe to start with, especially when it gets to the learners whose selection is on, that qualify for A level? Maybe who even qualifies? Because up to now we have parents who don't know whether their students qualify or not. Mr. Kulumba,
yes, please.
We pick it from there.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to greet the viewers. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As they've told you, my name is Lawrence Kulumba, the Deputy Teacher in charge of Career Guidance and Administration. About the choosing of the... Oh, you said who qualifies
for A level.
For A
yes.
level. In most cases, we consider at least a credit in a subject that you are going to take at HSC. For example, if you want to take BCM, we would prefer a credit 3 to at worst credit 4. That is, I think, the standard that we would consider.
Okay. For only sciences or even arts?
Even arts, because sometimes we tend to think that sciences are heavier than arts, but all subjects are equal.
Okay.
Yes.
Irrespective of the circumstances through which this credit 3 came, or there is another way you now measure this performance?
There's no any other way, because they all sit the same exams,
okay,
and they are marked by the same professional teachers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Chayune,
oh, yes,
looking at now those who qualify, of course you have your credit, you have your distinction, and so you qualify for that particular course. We've seen an evolution of A level, where at one time there were 4 principles, and now from 4 to 3. I think we explained this. So we will start with this and what the 3 principles are and what the subsidiaries are on that combination.
Oh yes, maybe something small to clarify. Back to the question of who qualifies to go for A level.
Yes.
According to the UNEP standards, from grade 1, or what they call first grade, to grade 4, you qualify to go for A level. In any case, UNEP considers you to have passed. But beyond grade 4, we really feel it's hard to proceed for A level. And even then, when you have grade 4, whereas UNEP considers you to have passed and you still get your Uganda Certificate of Education. But when it comes to subject combination, sometimes it becomes a little tricky. Maybe you can have 4 when you have passed some subjects that qualify you to have a combination. But one thing that should be made very clear, that at A level, what exactly we look at is out of what you have passed, irrespective of what you have failed. We may not look at your physics, chemistry, or history. We subtract what you failed. All right? Assuming you're within the range of grade 1 to 4. It could be that there are subjects you failed. We delete that in the discussion and we look at what you passed. Then out of what you passed, we choose a combination. And that is what Mr. Kulumba was saying, that at least you should have a credit 3, or if we are to really close the eye, not beyond a credit 4. So that we know when you get 3, 4, you can easily proceed and pursue that chosen combination for A level. But then coming back to your question.
Before you get back to the question, I have a student, they have a 3rd grade, but they have like 2 credits. And the quality of these credits create either 5 or 6. What do you advise?
No, it is very okay. You can have a credit 5 or 6. Remember, there are chances that even by the time maybe you sat senior 4, there could have been other circumstances that pushed you into 5, 6.
Okay.
No, that does not necessarily mean that this child is weak and therefore should be denied second chance. By the way, we have seen students with credit 6, 5, but given chance to join A level in a more serious environment, underline the word a serious environment, they eventually get the A's and the B's. So it all goes back to which environment do you later push the child. It could be that the child did not score as expected because was in a weak environment. Or there could have been so many other underlying factors. The child could have been very bright and with really potential, but could have played around here and there. But when you're given second chance in a more serious environment, then you see this child getting even better results at A level. But we feel a 3rd grade, once we can pick out a combination, and now what is a combination? That is now where we are heading.
Sure.
Okay, so at A level, unlike O level, where you take a maximum of 10, in A level, we zero it to 3 subjects. And we may slightly change the language. Instead of calling them subjects, we call them principles. And we assume a principle is that subject that will carry to a tune of 6 points maximum. Then we also have subjects that we call subsidiaries. They are also subjects, but they carry...
That is a language that confuses most.
They carry 1 point. Just like we are human beings, but we have males, females, but we could also be having children. Okay, we have adults, may have grandparents, but we also have children. But when you say human beings, they all assemble. So we have subjects, but of different categories.
A subsidiary is...
So a subsidiary is
like
a subject. Oh, yes. I may call it a kid, but it is a subject that carries 1 point. Now, that 1 point, these subjects include general paper. We have subsidiary math or sub-math. We also have ICT, okay, or computer. I wouldn't love to call it computer science, but well, ICT remains the word, okay. This is purely computer studies, okay. Those are 3 subjects we now have at A level. But out of those 3, 1 is compulsory to every student.
Okay.
That is general paper. Then on top of general paper, a child can either choose subsidiary math or computer. But it also goes back to the combination. The combination will dictate whether you're to go for sub-math or ICT. That is, if you're doing a combination that has economics, that has principle. Okay, let's begin with economics. Once the combination has economics in between, all right, that means you need knowledge of sub-math for you to be able to understand the related mathematical concepts within economics.
And that combination must be an art combination. For example, if it is history, economics, geography, then it is compulsory for you to do sub-math. But if you are doing PEM,
you already have the math.
You already have the math.
You may not do now sub-math. Oh yes. Now when we get to A level, a child is at liberty. Unlike O level where even sciences were compulsory. So at A level, given your results, you now take a decision that I'll either do sciences or arts. In O level there is no that freedom. You must by force do sciences.
Last time you shook tables here when you said that is the greatest mistake.
Yes, that is the greatest mistake that has ever been done in the history of education in Uganda.
Making sciences compulsory.
Making sciences compulsory.
But at that level where you have reached, I know we shall come back and continue. But now I want us to, because you said you can either choose sciences or arts. Now, Mr. Kulumba, could you please give us some of the factors that one might consider as they choose a combination, as they choose whether they are going for arts or sciences?
Okay, the cardinal factor here is what Mr. Chiune was trying to explain. What have you passed out of all the subjects, either 9 or 10 that you have done at UCE? So if you have passed 6 subjects, and out of the 6, 5 are art subjects, and only 1, for example, this year, majority passed biology, generally, in the whole country. So you find somebody has a creative 5 in biology, but the rest of the science subjects, physics, chemistry, failed. And then he has good credits in art subjects. So definitely, if you go to an administrator, if you come to me as a career master, I will advise you to take the arts combination.
I look at one who has excelled in both.
Now that's where I was coming. Now if you have excelled in both, this is what I normally, personally, what I normally ask my students. What is your career? What's your dream? What do you want to become? Because sometimes we have a challenge with our students. They look at what mommy did, what dad is doing, what my big brother did. So the other one maybe did medicine, and now you just want to walk into the other one is what? Maybe way. But the truth is, God created us when we are different. Me, I would think you first find out what you want as a person. For example, recently I received a student. He got 11 aggregates. He wanted to do BSEM. But when I asked him why he wanted to do BSEM, he said, because my parents told me I should become a doctor. Then I asked him, what do you want, you as a person? He told me, I want to become a business person. I want to do business courses. So I told him, now, will you be able to pass these subjects, biology, chemistry, mathematics, when you don't have passion for them, you are doing it for the sake of the parents? Why don't you do what you feel that will lead you to your career, what you want to become? So we ended it by agreeing with him to do PEM. He's going to do PEM. So if you have that dilemma, if you are in that dilemma, you have passed all the subjects, and you want to choose whether to do sciences or arts, first ask yourself, where is my passion? Because now you have the capability in both. But where is your passion? What is your dream? What's your career? So after understanding what you dream, what you feel, that I feel like I should be like that gentleman I'm seeing on TV. That is, I think, journalism or mass communication. Then find out which subject do I need to take in order for me to go into search.
Well, Mr. Chayune, back to you. Still picking up from the evolution of the courses and the combinations and all that, you had reached a point, and then I cut you short, where you said you were breaking down now the combinations and how they can be, is it combined or merged to get a combination. I think we pick it up from there now that we, after realizing the factors, so I realize I can do PEM very well, but what is the E in the PEM? Or I can do head, that is my passion, I want to do journalism, but I mean, what is the E there?
Now, the first thing as we are choosing combinations, I think the first step, you first pass. That is the first level.
We have qualified.
Now we have qualified.
Yes.
And even in qualification, there are those who so much dreamt to do sciences, to become doctors, but they have only passed arts. Now the passing is dictating the line to take.
They still have the hope that
they so much possible. Wanted to go the science line, but the results dictate that they cannot manage sciences. They can best merit in the arts direction. We have those categories. We have categories that have passed both subjects, but they have more love, passion for science. We have students who get 8 in 8. They qualify for both arts and science.
Yes.
But we go back to question number 1. What does this child want to become? That is not what Mr. Kulumba was emphasizing. And it is very possible for a child who has 1-1-1 throughout, all right? And when you look at the results, what the temptation we immediately get, this person should pursue sciences, only to be surprised when the child is interested in becoming a lawyer. And it does not mean, by the way, I need to make this very clear, because I always get challenges with students who want to take law. Law is an open course. All right, whether you've done sciences, whether arts, you can do law. But the truth of the matter is the nature of the course favors more of an arts background. That is an irrefutable fact.
And maybe some information on
Yes.
the other issue of openness when it comes to law. There is another condition. You must do
pre-entry. Oh yes.
And you pass.
And there is also that other condition that even before you jump into law, you must first undergo pre-entry. But one thing, we normally get challenges with students. Me, I want to do law, but I'm doing sciences. Yes, it's okay. But we just tell you the truth. It's like you can do several subjects to become a doctor. But we feel the nature of the course itself, it will favor more of somebody with biology and chemistry. So after passing, the next step, the next question, what do you want to become? You as a child. Now, this is where we have a very big challenge. That's why combinations become a battle. The child is not given chance to pursue what they want to, but rather it is dictated by relatives, friends, or at times they even choose combinations out of ignorance.
And excitement.
Parents out there, I must beg you and at the same time advise you, don't dictate combinations for your children.
Very true.
Because it's not you going to do the combination. It's not you pursuing that. It is very possible that the parent is a doctor, all right? But the child is totally a business person.
True.
And these are the doctors who at a certain point fail out in the practice and eventually go into business. It is very possible. And you find a child saying, I did this a course because that is what mother wanted. Now I want to do MDD because that is where my passion is. There is no bad course on planet Earth. It all depends on the person doing that course.
Sure.
Excel in that course, have love for it. For example, by the time I was doing senior 6, I had only one dream, becoming a teacher. And I don't think I regret. That is all I had in mind.
Okay.
All right. Although by the time of senior 1, 2, my true love was engineering. If you went to kindergarten kids today and you assemble them, you ask one by one what they exactly want to become. They'll tell you, I want to become a pilot. I want to become a doctor. I want to become an engineer.
Yeah.
Trust me, that is what they will mention. By the time they're in senior 2, 3, the story is different. By the time they're done with senior 4, they're exactly finding their level. Actually, that's what we call find your level.
Let us take a short commercial break. When we return, we are going to continue from there. But very interesting.
Do you know that you can now enjoy great enriching shows anywhere through the Family TV app? Here is how to download it. Open Play Store on your phone. Search for the Family TV app. Click Install. After installing it, open it and enjoy enriching content anywhere, everywhere, anytime. Family TV, enriching lives.
One time I remember a friend was making a joke and said, okay, in nursery, all of us want to be doctors, engineers, lawyers, but then where do they disappear to? Because we do not see them. Imagine a nursery, a kindergarten that has 200 pupils, and all these, if all these are to be doctors, then Uganda would have had a number, more than enough doctors. But anyway, before the break, Mr. Choine told us that now when you reach senior 4, that is when you now realize that
things are not very
the water was deeper than how you expected.
We are still into the line of combination.
Yes, we are still.
The child has passed, but now the parents are dictating.
Exactly.
The child has a different dream. The parents are also saying, if you don't do sciences, I'm not paying fees.
It has even been made a mark, a family mark,
that we must all
in
do
this home
sciences.
We produce.
So you find a child pursuing a combination much against his or her will. At the end of the day, the child is not passing that combination. And at times they are forced to repeat. You find a child repeating several times, but is still not breaking through. They either hate education, they hate schools, or they even finally drop out. Then you find the other child who exactly moved into his line. Either arts. I've ever had a child who began with arts and had gotten 8 in 8, but was saying, I want to become a lawyer, and I must do history, I need divinity somewhere, and literature. And we said, it's okay. And this child is doing excellently in life. All right? So let us give room to the children. To step number 1, choose where they have the interest. All right? The parents can advise, okay, but don't dictate. Don't decide for the child. Then even parents, as you're deciding these things, use teachers on ground who are more informed, who may even know the potential of the children. Then we also have schools, as Mr. Kulumba was saying, that have spoiled this whole arrangement of combinations. They dictate for the children. They are dictating because that is what they have on ground. The child says, I want to do biology, chemistry, and math. And the school does not offer chemistry. They just have biology. They say, for us here, we shall give you bag. All right? We are saying you must do bag. That is the combination we have given you. Many children are doing combinations dictated by school authorities. Just because the schools may not have a variety of subjects, there are those other unique subjects, all right, that would have made good combinations, but the schools may not have them. All right, the child wants to do foods and nutrition, but the school perhaps does not have that, and they'll end up squeezing the child in what they can afford. There is also that challenge. All right,
okay,
but we are here to say, basing on the child's potential, the good advice given by the teachers and the parents, then we should also merge this with what exactly the child wants to do or wants to become. But it's very unfortunate that the generation we have, unlike our days, children reach senior 5 when they don't even know what they want to become tomorrow.
Mr. Choine, by the way, for a supplement, you said there are schools that force students to do combinations because they don't have some subject, but there are also some administrators, like career masters like me, who teach certain subjects and they make sure they get a good number in their subjects they teach.
Or they get the cream.
And some do the opposite. They don't want to have a big number in class. So now after
they eliminate.
But the person has a passion for the subject, and for you are trying to divert because you don't want to have a big load.
Yeah, they say for us in divinity we should not exceed 60. So you love divinity Mukalazi, you're too religious, you really want to do that, but because you're coming in at a time they have already reached their seal, they push you into language, Kiswahili. And the other clause, what we are calling a combination, there should be similarity in the subjects you're doing. It's like that for us, psychologically, we call it positive transfer of knowledge. One subject should simplify your understanding of another subject.
True.
One subject should help you easily understand another subject. The subjects must be related. Now, that's why we are calling them a combination. I cannot put on a black coat with a green trouser and I call it a combination. All right? The trouser must be related to the coat, and even if I'm to use a necktie, it should be falling in the same color range. That's why we are calling it a combination. Now, you cannot say I'm doing divinity, along the way I have art married with math. They are subjects, true. But when you come to the desired course, which course will require a background of math, art, and divinity? So we must be very careful. Yet history is related to divinity. Accompanied with some language, say Luganda literature, then you're easily empowered. Even if you're to become a lawyer, you'll have some knowledge of history, biblical knowledge with the empowerment of the language.
And first, Mr. Chair, to throw more light about it.
Yes.
When we are considering admissions for public universities, what we call Pujab, there are combinations of subjects that they consider as essentials. For example, for biological sciences, they consider biology and chemistry. For physical sciences, they consider physics and math. So now, if for you come and you do your mathematics, then, for example, maybe fine art, I hear some even bring in Islam. So you find there is no any two subjects that can be combined to make a student qualify, or to make essentials as subjects for someone to qualify for a given course.
And now this is a very big problem. I'm seeing that very many people have not been given this knowledge, especially our brothers and sisters, our children, the senior fives, who are excited. They are A-levelers now. They're already excited. They're already practicing the walking as an A-level student. But in actual sense, at the end of the 2 years, they'll have nothing to put on the table. And now, this is a question to you, Mr. Kulumba. Yes. As an administrator, you talked about something that is very, very important, actually, and very crucial, that some administrators, or some teachers, or some career masters offer the career guidance, but negatively for personal benefits. Now, why do you do that in the first place?
Okay, now I think I talked about it a little.
Slightly, but I mean we broadly now examine it and see the effect it has on the child.
I'll talk out of experience. Now, first and foremost, naturally we have teachers who are lazy. And we have some administrators, because in most cases it is the administrators who give out combinations in academic office. Now, some of them, they tend to be busy doing their own things, and yet they are given a job to teach learners of the nation. So these are people who don't want to have a big number, as I said, because I personally do teach economics and geography. Okay. So now, because I don't want to have a big number in economics, because I know when it comes to market structures, I will have to go one-on-one. So if I have 8 in class, it will be a very big load for me. So such people who are lazy naturally, they will end up pushing some of the students away into maybe entrepreneurship, because now it's the competitor for economics. Then some, I think some are just bad-hearted. You know, I may be having some issues with Mr. Cheyune. He's teaching geography and I'm teaching economics. Now, because I don't want him to shine in school, I'll make sure he gets a few. Then they say, I think they don't want to do his subject.
Maybe
because
the other reasons why many administrators end up dictating, sometimes it goes back to the available resources.
That's true.
You find the resources for especially science subjects may not allow a bigger number in biology or chemistry, physics, which subjects are practical. You find it's FN that calls for a lot of cooking, the needed ingredients, or to even just set up an FN lab. It calls for a lot of capital investment.
So why don't you just let go of the learner instead of
I may give chance to a few learners with the hope that gradually I'll grow the subject. I'll add in more. And maybe in the next 4 years, I'll be in position as an administrator to teach 40 students of FN. But now that I'm just beginning it, I may not allow more than 10 students. All right? Then you may not even have the required teachers for a particular subject. And you don't maybe want to have a bigger number, fearing to risk. Then there are subjects whose nature may not allow bigger numbers. Unless when you're sure you have enough manpower. For example, geography that is more practical. You may first of all not need so many of the lazy ones, weak ones, but even bigger numbers may not give you chance to have a one-on-one touch. So you end up dictating. But of course, when the school has it all, then they may broaden the intake. All right, so those are all technical issues. But then still, slightly to push you back to even what the child may need. Whereas parents advise on the combinations, but they also ought to be up to date on the current information, especially when it gets to university courses. For example, I will cite out a course like engineer architecture, for example. It used to be technical drawing, strictly physics, math. Today the requirement in there is fine art.
True.
Whereas back then it was strictly technical drawing, math, physics, for one to talk of architecture. Today art is a requirement. Now you find a parent who did architecture 10 years ago, dictating this is what you must do to get there. But the current demand is calling for fine art, because everything begins with art. Before you draw someone's plan, right, you may have a lot of math, but you must have some art. Even if I'm to just design these studios, I must have some art. How will it eventually look like? It is not necessarily math and technical drawing. So things change here and there, all right? So parents may not have the knowledge of every subject. In any case, parents only have the knowledge of what they did. Let us work with the teachers. Then we have children who may not necessarily know what they even want, all right? And you find it is upon the teacher to look at their potential. This child could have gotten 4 or 3 in physics, but maybe out of a lot of coaching and what, then the teacher realizes that whereas you have 3 in physics, you have 6 in history, you can easily manage history of A level compared to the physics of what? A level. By the way, you may even have a distinction in a science subject, but that does not necessarily translate into balanced potential at A level in the science courses or subjects. So I'll look at Mukalas and I'll know Mukalas, yes, you passed math, but just remember what we went through for you to pass math with the credit 3. Don't pursue principal math at A level. Mukalas, you can best do Luganda. We have music here and there. Also add on this. And at times, we also want children to do what they can pass. That maybe after you've passed, we can sit and design a course thereafter. But first pass. And children also ought to understand, in A level, we at times don't exactly do what we want. We do what we can manage. Now, those are also 2 different things. Many come with intentions of doing what they want. But chance or research shows that 90% of what we want, we can't manage. That is also now challenging.
It is a little technical.
Yes, and, very technical.
You need to elaborate.
Parents will come, by the parents leave home when they even have already a preset mind. Our child must do this. Are you giving us that combination or not? If not, let's go to another school.
Of course, schools are many and they're open. The gates
and there are those
open.
schools that will not advise you, but they will rather say, which combination do you want? Okay, we have given you vacancy, because they want that client. But otherwise, the results should help us dictate the combination. But there are situations where you look at the child and you say, yes, you have gotten 4th grade. Especially, by the way, it should be quoted right. It should be the parents, rather children who get 3rd and 4th grade. Those are sensitive children. They have not excelled, but we don't want to say they have failed. They are average or even below average. Now, when it comes to combination at A level, we become so technical, choosing what they can manage. After getting them what they can manage, if by God's grace, if they work harder and excel, then we can later choose an appropriate course. There are those who will come right from senior 4 to A level when the course is very clear. I want to become this and this is what I'm doing. There are those who don't know, and even A level, we must sit and forge a combination for them. Sometimes we forge. We say, no, for you, we are going to give you this, this, and the other. Now, it is upon you to begin from there. If you can excel, we can later identify a course at a later stage. Okay.
Mr. Kulumba, yes, does that explain the fall in numbers? Because according to Dr. Egao, she says that the placement is for 329,932 students only. And actually, she says, we're only placing learners in year 5, and we expect to place 236 students into secondary schools, both public and private. Now, there is a variation of almost 100. What happens? Does these technicalities that are involved do this? No, you can do this. This is what you can do better. Is it the reason we register a few students at A level?
I'm looking at it in another perspective,
okay.
Because parents, I think, have started picking interest in vocational studies.
Okay.
So once a student gets a 4th grade, I'm not saying that those ones with 4th grade and 3rd grade are the ones to go there, but this is the perspective of the parent. That's what they think. So when they see that a child to get a combination, which he or she is going to do at HSC, is somehow hard, as he has explained, that sometimes you have to forge a way of getting a student a combination. Sometimes they take that path of taking children for vocational studies. That is one reason. The second reason, we should look at the economic bit of it. The economy, because right now we are admitting senior 5s, but men just come and ask the fee structures, they want discounts,
and you never see them again.
Things.
Do you see them again after asking for the fee structure?
Sometimes they come back in second term, sometimes they don't come back. So I think you will agree with me, all of us here, that some people are not doing well financially.
Yes.
So that's the second reason. But still, that reason is also there, that sometimes these people don't have guidance. The parent himself and the child, they don't know what to do. And we always have...
And the parent actually trusts that the child knows what to do, and sometimes they're advising the parent.
Sometimes. Some parents don't want to be advised, because sometimes when we call them, for example, for us, we call all our students who pass. Of course, they all pass. So we call them, because if you want to get students to join HSC, start with yours. If you are sure that you taught them and they passed, then why don't you bring them back? So, but sometimes when you call some, they start saying, now for me, I'm still stranded, I don't know what to do. So such parents are a good example that some students are still there because they need guidance and maybe counseling. So the advice we give parents, try to go to school and talk to administrators, try to call the people that you know, like teachers, who can give you advice, but don't be stuck with children at home.
Well, Mr. Sheine,
yes.
I know we are drawing closer to the end. We have a few minutes on us, but let us look at a situation where a student has failed out on all these options. When you look at them, you do not want to risk. Like I'll give an example of the students in the 3rd and 4th grades, where you say that they are a little sensitive. So when you try to fix them in the system, you realize it might end in tears for the family. What is on plate for such students?
Oh yes, whereas I said with UNEB, 4th grade, you're still celebrated to have passed. But now in the eyes of a parent who paid for the 4 years, paying for 4 years did not mean 4th grade. All right? So such a child, to the parent, the child has failed. Has not passed very well. But when the child insists, because these days our children are sensitive, we must sit on a round table and we forge a way forward together. Actually, that makes me advise parents, let's not take decisions where children are not part. If the child says, yes, whereas I got 4th grade, but provided I can get a combination at A level, I'm ready to fight harder. That is option number 1. We go for A level and design out a combination. When the child says, I feel I can be given second chance, and by the even the child may be willing to go for A level, but the parent feels it is better to repeat and maybe we get a better grade. That is also very possible. we agree with the child, we convince the child to repeat with an aim of getting a better grade. Children out there with 4th grade, if there is chance for you to improve the grade, please accept to repeat, because we also look at the job world. At one time you'll apply for jobs, but where will you present a certificate of 4th grade?
Talking about repeating, UNEB has provided a provision, is it either June or July, where they'll redo the exams. Are there provisions for these learners to get back to schools and study even when the curriculum is now different?
Yes, it is very possible. Now that UNEB has given us that chance, we still welcome children back to school to repeat. But something should also be put in consideration. It will be at a cost. Because now that means we are going to have a special class, and now that they are repeating, they're supposed to be grilled even more than they were grilled the other year if results must be got out of such a group. And now the challenge to schools, it's going to be, you find you have 5 repeaters, but who need 15 teachers. So some schools may not create room for repeaters even when they failed from that very school. Because I'll need a biology teacher, history 1, history 2, geography 1, geography 2. So at the end of the day, I need around 15 teachers on board for just 5 children. But if they can agree on terms and conditions, by the way, on a strict note, in schools, terms and conditions will apply. And then we have not yet identified areas, because it's not going to be repeating from a particular school, but rather community halls. And if that has not yet been identified in a given region,
maybe for some information, it has been changed now. They made it open. Now they can study from any school and they can sit from any center. Yes, and even the exams were changed. They will sit with these ones in current senior 4, October, November. But now,
when the curriculums are different?
Yes, the curriculums are different.
Or they'll have a special exam?
Of course, the exams must be different.
Okay, that was my worry. I thought
now, as you have said, the challenge is not all schools that will manage to have 2 sets of teachers. Teachers for all the curriculum, specifically for these repeaters, and then teachers for new curriculum.
So it is a little challenging, but we have no choice. We have to help children realize their dream. All right. Then for those who have totally failed to repeat or to even go for A-level, that is not the end of the world. We still encourage children to try vocational. One may have even gotten 3rd grade but feels he's not ready for A-level, and there is still option for practical courses. Vocational schools are very many, all institutions, there are very many for practical subjects. And parents, it is of no harm. In any case, it is very healthy for children to acquire practical knowledge. It is not compulsory that everyone must go for A-level. Channeling into vocation is also another option, which is very, very healthy.
Mr. Chine, your closing remarks.
Yes, I really thank all the children out there for they participated, and whatever they got, let's welcome and thank God for that, and we forge a way forward. All school managers out there, let us help the children enroll or have a brighter future. Let us be humble. Let us listen to the parents. Let's guide. As Mr. Kulumba said, the economy is not very good. As children report for A-level, let us listen to the parents. All right, and we are ready to advise school managers out there. We are ready to come and do guidance and counseling. Those who need our services, 0776 681566, 0776 681566. Have a blessed night.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chine. Mr. Kulumba, your last remarks as we wind up.
I just want to send greetings to my boss, the director of Boston High School, Mr. Baguma Gaston. We love you so much. The head teacher, Madam Keisha Judith, we love you so much. Then I would love to inform all our parents there that if they've not gotten any school where they can take their children for A-level, they can bring them to Boston High School. We are one of a few schools that have all the subjects at HSC. Okay. Do you know that we have food and nutrition, we have technical drawing? So if we have those, because those are subjects that are not found in each and every school, by the way. Okay. So if they want to come and have the quality, and by the way, the director of the school is the head of SESEMAT. SESEMAT, that's an organization that
Okay.
heads all science subjects in the country. So they should have a good night.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Mr. Chene. And to you, our viewer, it's been a pleasure having you following. I believe as a parent or as a student, you've picked up a point or two, especially when it comes to career choices. Now, from the entire team, Didmas in transmission, Raymond, Junan, and I, it's a good night. We meet again tomorrow as we discuss health.